Hey gang, it's Reagan Dunn. I wanted to show an example of ways to help make a difference, not just for you and your family, but for the community at large. Okay everyone, welcome to my home. Welcome to another episode of Project Care. This is Bandit. Everybody say hi to Bandit. We're gonna work on making some homemade personal protective equipment, particularly masks today. We'll do gowns later on, but we're going to focus on masks. And masks involve some sewing, and that is not my strength. So we're going to bring in the big guns, the hired help. I'm going to introduce you to my wife, Ashley, and she's going to walk you through the best designs and styles for making masks during this pandemic.
It's important to wear masks out in public to be able to cover your mouth and nose and protect yourself and others from contracting COVID-19. That includes our first responders right now, our grocers, our pharmacists, and our bus drivers. So by wearing a mask, you protect them from potentially contracting COVID-19. So the reason why we like this style so much is because it not only covers your whole nose, but it also dips enough around your eyes so it doesn't fog up glasses as much, or it doesn't restrict your vision at all. We also like how the sides are adjustable once you get the elastic in, and it's just overall a more comfortable fit. And I find that if I'm wearing a comfortable mask, I'm more apt to wear it in public. I don't feel like I'm fussing with it as much. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need are two different pieces of fabric. So the first piece you're gonna need is the outside, so what people are gonna see. You'd like it to be a fabric that has a little bit of weight to it and not stretchy. What I did here is I had an old skirt that I cut up. You can use an old t-shirt. You can use basically any old scrap of fabric. You don't want to use denim or anything heavier than denim, but pretty much anything else you can make work. The inside piece, the lining piece, is important though. You want it to be a cotton, just in case you have allergies this time of year. You want something somewhat absorbent that's actually touching your face, and cotton is probably the most comfortable thing to have directly touching your face. 2 layers is all you really need, but if your outside layer isn't the right type of fabric, you may need to add interfacing. So yes, that would make 3 types of fabric. So this template was taken from a pattern we found online. It's by a lady named Mimi G. She's an actual pattern maker. And you'll notice this line right here is for the lining fabric. This is a cut line for the lining fabric. It needs to be about 1 inch shorter length overall, and I'll explain why when we get to one of the very last steps. So after you make those 2 cuts, you want to put the right pieces together, the pieces that for the lining you want touching your face, and then for the outside, the pieces that you want facing out, and you want to sew the curve together on both as your first step. So when you're done, you'll have 2 pieces that look like this. Okay, so now we'll actually start assembling the mask, and you'll want to put the 2 right sides together and open up the seam allowances on both sides and match them together, and that'll look like this. And you'll want to make sure it's lined up all the way down the curve, and then you start your seam where the lining starts, so you don't need to stitch here. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the 2 stitches, bottom and top, and you'll see the seam allowances open on the bottom of the top. And the next thing you want to do is clip your seam allowances again. You want to pay special attention to the areas that have a lot of fabric where you opened up the seam here, because that'll be really difficult to turn. You'll be left with a lot of bulk in your mask. And then once you've clipped that, just go all the way down. Again, try and leave a 1/4 inch. And then down here, you'll kind of want to do a bit of a U shape to get all of that extra fabric out, and then just clip down your seams. So my seams are clipped. What I want to do now is turn it inside out, and this is kind of exciting because it's the first time you get to see what your mask
that's the secret. You turn it inside out.
look like. So then you have this tube that you need to work with a little bit. This is probably the most time-consuming step. You just want to make sure that your seams are opened up and laying flat and that you can't see any lining from the front. And so you just kind of got to work with it, work your fingers around, use an iron, but be careful of your fingers because you're working on corners and curves. And so just do a little section at a time, replace, move it along. And so your next step is to turn it face down And on this end, you'll see you want to fold it about 1/4 of an inch and then about 1/2 of an inch to give you not only a nice finished edge, but that's also the casing where you'll put your elastic to go around your ears. So this is what it looks like when the stitch is in. This is a special tool meant for threading fabric or elastic through a narrow tube. You can also just use a safety pin. So you just want to insert this in the tube you've just made, pull it out the other end, and then what you want to figure out is you want to overlap it enough for your machine to catch, and you'll just do a quick seam right there. And when you're done with that, you have a finished mask. You just hook it around the back of your ears. And it comes up to a point, but you could wear sunglasses, you could wear reading glasses, and it goes down enough under your chin that your mouth is protected and it's still comfortable to breathe, and it stays in place, and I don't find myself touching my face as much when I have this mask on because I know it's secure and it's comfortable.
Okay, folks, this is what mine looks like. Little American flag-like fabric. Don't use a real flag, of course, but folks, thanks so much for another episode of Project CARE, Coronavirus Action and Response Enlistment. Appreciate my wife Ashley helping out, and now it's my turn to do some work. I'm cooking dinner. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.